That's always interesting to me, like that your whole working life was like caricature artist.
Yeah,
That's been for
it
you
really
too?
burned me out. Yeah,
Yeah?
I got so burned out, so burned out. Like the word caricature, I was like, oh god, like I can't do it
So
anymore.
how did
Like I hate
you
it.
so let's talk about that. Like so you worked in Florida and then you traveled around. You did like did you get burnt out after the traveling in Japan and Korea?
Well, I feel like I'm trying to think when I started feeling burnt out. It was definitely the fair environment that got me for sure. Because so I grew up in Florida, Southern Baptist. We didn't really travel. You know, I hadn't been outside of the country. I just wanted to. I and then I just had this like weird thing after I graduated because I originally went to school for art education
Mm-hmm.
and I did an internship at a elementary school. And the elementary school, it's in town and it's awesome. It's an awesome elementary school, and I hated it. And I was like, oh, if I hate this, and these are really rad kids, if I'm not feeling this, this isn't for me. So I graduated and I was working at Fun Spot in Kissimmee in a shack by myself, and I was working at SeaWorld. So I had two jobs, and I was like doing all this drawing, and I was like, crap, what do I do? And Rob Hume had like put something like, oh, going on a road trip after ISCA or something. And I like just was like, I want to go. And it like accidentally sent like mid thought. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I didn't mean to send that. And he was like, oh yeah, you can come. Like, come on the road trip. And I was like, whoa, like this, what an opportunity. I can, I've never been to the West Coast before. So I like asked my boss, like, can I get some time off to do this thing? And he was like, no, like, like you're stabbing me in the back, essentially. He actually said those words.
Oh my
So I put in my
gosh.
2 weeks. I was like, I'm done. The shack was kind of horrible anyway. So I had never even met my boss who I worked with at the shack. I don't even know where that money went. Anyway, so I messaged him.
Is that the name of the place, the shack, the caricature
I
shack?
I don't remember it's like his name. I don't want to put his name out there, but it was like,
Uh
blank blank's caricatures, but it was in a shack, like a yellow shack. It was very bizarre.
was
And
it was in a fairgrounds?
it was in a fun spot, it has like bumper cars
Uh
and it's, yeah,
I see.
is a lot of weirdos. Like not, it's in Kissimmee, so it's not like the Orlando crowd. It's more of like the Florida crowd. So it was a lot of weird people. Like I had a lot of swingers ask me to. It was just like, and I'm just like 19, like what's happening? So I quit both of those jobs and I went to ISCA in 2014 in Reno,
Cool.
and it just blew my mind. Like all these international, just seeing the Japanese artists working so hard, I was just like stars in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tried to talk to everyone. I met Yanni, and I was like, Yanni, I want to work in Korea. I want to work for you. And she said, come on, bring it on, let's go. She probably didn't think I was serious, and I kept up with it. And then I did my first fair, and then I went to Korea, and I was there for like 8 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, and um, man, I didn't save any money. They just had their first like pandemic. They had Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, MERS. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. So everything was shut down. We only worked on commission. Yanni was very kind. She helped me one of the months with like rent and stuff. So I like barely had any money. And then after that, I traveled around by myself, like backpacking for like 4 months in Asia.
Did you go to Jeju?
And yeah, I went to
Yeah,
Jeju.
yeah.
Yeah, so I backpacked, and that just opened up my whole world because I had been living in a little bubble,
Yeah,
for so long, and
yeah.
I got so hungry for traveling, but I was
Mm-hmm.
so broke, and caricature was my way to travel and do everything I wanted to do, and also like work with really inspiring artists.
Hmm.
So I just started doing that, and but I think it was after I got back from Korea, before I went to Japan, where I was doing fairs, that I started feeling really burnt out, really burnt out. Drawing so many, I was doing caricatures like full time, like 12 hours a day. Like it was a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you talk about like the amount of hours a day that you were doing it because that kind of came up with the C Ding interview
Hmm.
um, when I was asking him about like his practice, and he says he basically paints for 12 hours a day. And then Joe Bloom had an interview, and I remember he said he like drew for 10 hours a day at the fair, and then he would come home and draw for like 3 or 4 more hours,
Yeah.
and that's like it's crazy. It's a crazy amount of time and energy to put into something, and for people to look at the work and be like, "Oh yeah, that's just a cartoon." Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
I
like,
never had an ego with caricatures. I still don't. I feel, this is horrible because I'm a caricature artist and I owe my whole life to caricature, and everywhere I've been was because of caricature. All my skills and what I've stolen from other artists, and it's all because of caricature. But I almost feel the same way. Like it's a I don't even want to say it. It's horrible.
say it, say it
It's
loud.
from it's